Hello everyone. Okay, so today we are going to learn about reading our lines and spaces. We're going to make this pretty easy and pretty simple. Just a few minutes of your time and I will have you reading your basic lines and spaces for your treble and your bass for the piano in no time at all. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is our staff. Let's like not do this. What do we have here hidden? Ah, that's right. Okay, so I'll get all of this stuff away from here. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, so make this really, really simple now. All right, so we're going to start here with a staff, okay? The staff is kind of like the house for all of our music. It's where all the notes are going to live. All right, a staff basically is 5 lines and 4 spaces. All right, so we have our 5 lines and 4 spaces. Change my color a little bit so you can keep up with me here. Okay, so whenever we're reading our lines and spaces in music, we always go from bottom to top. So we would read it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for our lines, and our spaces would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The further that we move up, we say that we are going higher in our music, and if we are going down, we are going lower in our music. All right, so very simple right there. Okay, 5 lines, 4 spaces, that is our staff. Okay, so from there, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that, and we are going to go into our treble clef and bass clef. So these two things, you kind of really need to know what they are. We have our treble clef, okay, and yes, I know it has an extra long tail, but that's okay. I'm no artist. I never have claimed to be. So the first, we're going to start kind of going down and make our little hook, just like that. And then the next step, we kind of make through, we kind of go with it like a P, and we curve all the way through the line, and we bring it on back around like this, and we cross through. Okay? That is your treble clef. And the treble clef is spelled like this. All right, so we have T-R-E-B-L-E, clef. Okay? And our treble clef, any music that's written on the same staff as our treble clef, is going to be played with your right hand. Okay? Good to go? We feel good about that? All right, treble clef, we use our right hand. All right, so now we are going to get rid of this, and we are going to go ahead and learn also our bass clef. So our bass clef starts here. We kind of have like a little dot that starts there with it, and it comes out, and I always say it kind of looks like a little bit of a cane. And then it has 2 dots right there with it. So pretty simple. Start your dot, curve around, and then add a dot and add a dot. That is our bass clef. Okay, our bass clef is spelt, looks like the word bass, B-A-S-S, but it is pronounced bass, clef, C-L-E-F. And any music that's written on the same staff as our bass clef is going to be played usually with our left hand. Now, as you get into more advanced music, you're going to see that the right hand, it's going to get kind of confusing on some of that stuff right off the bat, so we won't get into all of that. But let's just say for beginners, this is what we have. Bass clef is the left hand, treble clef is the right hand. Okay. All right, now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to give me a, just real quick, we're going to do our staff again because we're going to start learning to read those lines and spaces. All right, very cool. Add me another layer. Okay, so now we're going to work on our treble clef. So when we have here, we start a little bit above the top, come down below, and give a little hook. And then we come across and make sure that our final end right here, that you see right here, goes through our second line. Okay? Now, excuse me. This here is a line note because you see the line that kind of goes through the note, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about line notes right off the bat. So we have our line notes here. There will be 5 that sit easily here. And then we're going to have space notes that sit kind of in between in the spaces. All right, there are 4 of those sitting here. All right, in this, we have a new layer that I'm going to talk about. Okay, in this layer here, we are going to talk about the names of those notes, and I'm going to switch that to a different color so you can see it better. Okay, so we start with E, G, B, D, and F. Okay, so our right-hand lines, so I'm going to do that and abbreviate it as RS, or I'm sorry, I take that back, RL. Okay, so there's different sayings that we can use. So many different sayings. Pretty much you can make up your own saying if you want to, as long as each word starts with one of those letters in order. All right, so we can go with every good boy does fine. You can also do like every good boy deserves fudge, or every good bird does fly. One of the ones my students, my younger students like is empty, garbage, before dad flips. So you can see that all of these have the same order, G, B, D, E, G, B, D, F. Each one of them are like that. And we basically go here, empty, garbage, before dad flips. All right, and the first letter of the word gives us what note we have. All right, your spaces are really simple. It just spells the word face. All right, very, very easy. So I'm going to do this as our right-hand spaces, and it spells the word face. Okay, there you go. There are 2 notes that you just kind of have to know. There's not really a super easy way of like, oh, hey, this is part of the saying. Here we have a note that just kind of hangs down here, and then we have another one that's like an extra line, and the note sits here. Okay, those are the note D and C. All right, what we're going to have, and I want to show you here though, is that if you go line space, line space, line space, it kind of goes in alphabetical order. So you've kind of gone this, which is a line because it has a line going through it. C, D, that's your space. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And if you go backwards, you would just say it in reverse alphabetical order when we go down. So F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, and C. Okay, this C is kind of an important C. It is middle C. This middle C is located in the middle of your keyboard. If you have a full 88 set of keys, it's typically the C that is closest to the center of your keyboard. If you have one that's like 61 keys, or a smaller keyboard in that end of it, your middle C can be shifted to one side or the other. Okay, so we have now talked about those, and I would like to get out of this and move on to our left hand and our bass clef. So our bass clef is going to start on the 4th line. So remember, we go bottom to top. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to start our little line here. We're going to curve and go there. Give ourselves a dot in that space and a dot in that space. Okay. From there, we also have line spaces, just like this. And we have lines and spaces. Lines and spaces. We have line notes, and we have space notes, just as we did for the treble. Okay? And we are going to add this other layer here to kind of go over the names of these as well. So we have G, B, D, F, and A for our lines. So our bass lines, I'm going to call this left-hand lines. Okay, so this one that I'll give you has always been kind of traditionally was the way that it was taught a long time ago. Might not be the most PC one anymore, but it is great. Big dogs fight animals. Some of the others you can do are good boys do fine always. Another one my students like is Granny bakes donuts Friday afternoons. Okay, so remember, just the same as with your right hand, as long as it pretty much has the first letters, the first letter is the name of your notes, it will work. So here we have our Granny bakes donuts Friday afternoons. Okay, so then down here we're going to talk about our spaces. Those are A, C, E, and G. Okay, here we're going to have our left hand spaces. I always ask my students this question: do you like cars or do you like cows better? That tells me kind of what one I'm going to give them, because they're pretty close. All right, so if you like cars, we're going to go all cars eat gas. And if you like cows, you're going to just substitute that in with all cows eat grass. Right? Pretty simple. Okay, so we're going to move back over here to this one, to where we can add and talk about two notes that we just kind of have to know, the same as you had on the treble staff. Okay, so you have this note here that sits, and then you have a line, and you have another note that kind of sits right up there with it. With that, you have the same as we talked about before. Remember, we had said that we go line, space, line, space, line, space. So if I'm here with this A, like I go G right here to my A. Now I'm starting over, so I have A, and this one sitting up top is going to be B. And then I move on to my line, and that's going to be C. Now, funny part is, this is also middle C, the same as we had in the treble clef, and it is the same note. It depends on which staff that C is written closest to as to which hand you're going to use to play it. So if it's written closest to the treble staff, you're going to use your right hand to play that middle C. And if it is written closest to the bass staff, you are going to use your left hand to play that note. Okay, so that pretty much covers reading your lines and spaces.